Hey mamas, it's Kristen Noel, founder of the Intuitive Divorce, and I'm popping in here with my wonderful team member, Master Coach Joe Young, and we are once again hot off of class with lots of musings, and we call these after class musings, but so much wisdom gets unpacked in class. And it's one of the reasons we love to get on here right away because literally my head is spinning, my heart is full, and we really process a lot. And I don't know, it's just such a powerful space. One of the women really just calls it her tribe. And I think that's just such a beautiful way to describe it because a lot of the mamas in the group are in various spaces. And we bring this up a lot. Some haven't necessarily had the talk where they've announced that they want a divorce. Some are well into the process. Some are almost on the outside, the other side of it. But invariably, what happens, I mean, week to week, we never know what condition someone's going to be in because there's a lot of life that happens in between those 7 days, in between all of those dealings, all those conversations, tough conversations with your kids, conversations with yourself about the feelings that are coming up, what's getting stirred, what's getting activated. And a lot of times, actually, we celebrate the fact that a mama will come and bear witness to the fact that she had a really rough week or that she's really feeling activated or that she just really had a breakdown and she was crying and we just celebrate it because there's no way around it. And so this is the part that we really dive into a lot in the intuitive divorce is the feelings and you and the self-care and the nervous system regulation because that is the game changer. That's not something you can save to the other side. It will change the big decisions that you show up for, the conversations that you have to show up for, how you're going to get your kids through it, and more importantly, how you're going to get you through it. And so, I say this time and time again, Joe has just brought so much enormous wisdom to our program, to our coaching, because of just those reasons, nervous system regulation, self-care, self-love, feeling the feels. So a lot happened today. So I guess, I don't know, that was a roundabout way of saying it was a big class, right?
Yeah, it was a big class. And we started the class today talking about this idea of space,
Mm.
right? The space between when we're so busy doing all the things all the time and this incredible sense of responsibility that often women in particular and mothers in particular feel such a huge amount of responsibility to continue to do and to keep everything on the right track, and sometimes when there's space in between the doing and the things that maybe are more wishes, like around how do I play more, how do I spend time on myself more, how do I give myself those things,
And how do I not feel
space,
guilty about that?
and not feel guilty about it. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because obviously we're a divorce group, but you and I talked before class today about my own personal experience with that this week around the business stuff and yet the family stuff and finding the space in between to give permission for all of it. And so I loved all the things that you said there in the beginning, Kristen, because what it's really about is we are whole people, right? We come with the full package, which doesn't mean living a life where there's no triggers. It doesn't mean living a life where there's no pressures. It doesn't mean playing all the time and being irresponsible. It's finding this beautiful flow back and forth between the two things. How do we allow space for both?
Hmm.
We talk a lot in this program about the both and that, yes, there's these really hard, difficult things going on in your life, and there are things to celebrate, and there are things to be joyful about. And so giving permission for the full package.
Well, and there are things to prioritize and there are things to let go of.
Yes.
Because this is the other thing. It's the big myth breaker, right? Like, an excuse breaker because women will typically say, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for self-care. I don't have time to do this, or I don't have time for that. It's like you have to make time. You have to make time. And it's just about giving yourself permission to look at it differently. I think we brought this into the conversation last week. It's like I too will look at my calendar and it's packed. And then I start to get stressed. And then I'm really stressing about how I'm going to show up for those things and what condition I'm going to be in and what I'm going to be able to give. And then you look at the calendar and you're like, wait a minute, do I have to do this? Is this an emergency this week? Can I let this go? Can I postpone this? Can I, allowing some space to reimagine and to reconnect to what is important to you, what you need, what nurturing you need, what support
Mm,
you need, what feels good.
mm.
You know what? It feels good to daydream. Feels good
Yeah,
to be.
I love that concept of reimagine. I really do. And it's also seems super appropriate that that's coming up and we're embarking on the first part of spring, right?
Mhm.
Where it's like, what do you think about when you think about spring? Well, we think
Mhm.
about spring cleaning, letting go of the things that we don't need anymore, where there's dust in the closets and all the things, right? It's like get in there and spring clean, like what's
Mhm.
taking up your time and space right now that doesn't need it, that isn't a priority,
Oh, spring is
right?
such, it's like one of my favorite
And
metaphors.
then planting.
Right. Well, right. So, I mean, spring is probably the greatest metaphor for divorce or
Mm,
transformation, right? Especially when you live in a climate like we do in the Northeast, where, you just get through like a really cold, harsh winter where you've been more reclusive and restoring. And now you're feeling the stirrings of like longer days, more sunshine, warmth. Imagine that you're this little seedling. You're this little vulnerable seedling that's stirring underneath the soil and you're getting ready. You're getting ready to pop through the soil. You're getting ready to bloom. Yeah, you're vulnerable. This is your new life. This is the new you that you're birthing. This is
mm,
the new you that you're becoming. This is the new you that is no longer going to shrink and people please and pretend she doesn't have wants, needs, and desires. Spring is such a great metaphor for transformation, for stepping into all that you desire to become, to be the woman that you want to be and the mother you want to be, and live the life that you want to live. And that's why you're here in this divorce because you can't pretend anymore. We were teasing one of the mamas in the group today because I say she's got a PhD in coping mechanisms. And then we all just kind of, yeah, bobble, bobble, nodding. Like,
mhm.
if you're a mother, you have a PhD in coping mechanisms. You find ways to like make it work, keep everything on track, keep the peace. That only works for so long if you're ignoring these other pieces and parts of yourself. And so we're constantly really trying to help the mamas in the group reimagine, reinvent, reassess, reframe, reinvigorate, rejuvenate, you know, so that they can become and tell the truth of who they are and live the lives they want to live. And also move through this really hard process in a way that they can feel good about. And listen, that sounds lovely and perfect and beautiful, unicorns, roses, rainbows and all the rest. We stumble. We stumble because we're human beings. And that is also the beautiful part of our group is like you come in whatever condition you're in, and you just share and we process and we workshop and we get you back on track and say like, hey, that's okay. All right, something came out the way you didn't want it to come out. All right, so now what? Now
Yep.
what?
We talked about that today. I loved that. It's like you can show up and be wherever you are. And but as soon as we hear them say, I'm disappointed in myself, it's like, okay, let's talk about that. What is that? Okay, so it didn't go as you planned. So what?
Hmm.
Where are the gifts in it? What did you learn from it? I heard someone say one time, we're always moving forward or we're learning, which is also its own form of moving forward, right? We're either successful in taking the steps that we said we wanted to make, or we're learning maybe what doesn't work, maybe what I would do different next time. But either way, it's a win. And
Hmm.
that's the thing that we're able to really help these mamas see is that no matter what is happening, because you have chosen to show up here and do things intentionally using your intuition, right? No matter what happens, is going to be in your favor. It's just how we choose to look at it. We have so many of our mothers right now who are really on the brink of either having the conversation or very new in stepping into this process. And it's so beautiful to see all the seeds that they've planted for themselves to get themselves ready for what is about to bloom for them in the next phase, right? And just like spring, no mistake, we talked to them about what thoughts are you nurturing? What thoughts are you bringing in? Are you thinking about all those worst case scenarios, all that future tripping, all the things that aren't real?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you really being tender with yourself and nurturing yourself and doing all the things to show up so that your future gets to look much more empowered than you ever imagined?
You think about that as the elements, right? When you plant a garden, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee what's going to survive the cold winter or the cold snap or the frost or what's going to bloom, what's going to get eaten by bunnies or whatever. It's like, but you show up and you tend to that garden and you till that soil and you weed it and there's sunshine and there's water and there might be some fertilizer or whatever. But the garden is your life. I'm going to say something that sounds a little bit harsh, but getting support during divorce is not a luxury. And I think some people mistake that because the old narrative is run out and get a shark of an attorney. I need my money from my attorney. I need my money from my financial advisor or from my child therapist. And listen, I take that, to heart. I understand that. I understand the realities of that. But you know what you also need? You need to be supported and you need to understand that the condition that you're in this process, the support that you receive in this process, the nurturing you receive in this process will bear the fruits of what you receive in your garden, in your divorce, and how that shows up. And it's just and that's just a harsh reality. And we see it every day. And no one ever thinks that a divorce is going to cost as much as it does, or go on as long as it does, or take as much out of them as it does. But this is one way to get that train back on the track and take control of it. Taking control of you is taking control of your divorce and taking
Hmm.
control of the outcomes. And
Yes.
we see it. We see it every week. We see it
Yep.
every week.
Yep. And we also see every week that these mamas that step up and really do this work for themselves, we're seeing the impact of their beautiful children,
Mhm.
and how they're able to support their children in this process is so different. And boy, does that matter. It impacts generations to come.
Isn't it incredible? Like we heard today, one mom in particular talking about her 10-year-old daughter and the words of wisdom that were coming out of this 10-year-old were just astounding. And I looked at that mom and I said, that's because of you. That's because of you. And can you imagine if she can say those words and understand those constructs at 10? What is she going to be when she's a wise 50-year-old? Can you
Yeah.
imagine? Like, this is how, when you take care of yourself, you can take care of your children. You can have these difficult conversations with them. You can help them navigate their own feelings because they're going to have a lot of feelings. And there's a lot that has to be navigated going between two parents, going between two houses, and then going between blended families. Because a lot of people start getting into relationships and there may be other children, and there's a lot to navigate. There's a
And I
lot
love
to
what you brought up in that today is you said you're including your children to be part of the solution. And that is so powerful because what you're doing is you're showing them how to cope in life, that they are capable of reaching their own conclusions, finding solutions for themselves, of being supported within that. And when you have children that are growing up that way, they're not going to repeat the same patterns,
hmm
right? They're going to
hmm
know differently because you do differently. I
hmm
mean, there's no greater gift, and it can't be emphasized enough that the work that you do on yourself now will impact your children for generations to come, their children, the children that come after them. And it matters how you do it. And
Absolutely.
so, this group, I mean, when we say it's invaluable when you show up here. What you gain is invaluable, not just while you're in this process, but certainly while you're in this process. But it impacts generations to come.
Oh, it's so many ripple effects.
Yeah.
So many ripple effects because I know it's hard to imagine, but the tools that you develop in divorce when you're really leaning in are tools for the rest of your life. These aren't just divorce tools. These aren't skills for divorce. These are skills for life. And these are skills that by walking the walk and talking the talk, you are teaching your children. And the reason this came up today in particular was this particular 10-year-old was worried about her mom because kids will do that. They will also, they can internalize a lot in the divorce. They can think it's their fault, or they think it's their responsibility to make mommy happy or make sure she's not sad, so the conversations that you're having with your kids are really important. Really, really critical conversations, really, really healing. It's not about having perfect words. It's about having an open heart. It's about being aligned with your intuition. It's about having that invisible umbilical cord, your mama bear fierceness, just showing up and being present. Nobody says you have to have the perfect words. You just have to be present. And we can't be present in the way that we want to if we're not taking care of ourselves. And I think that's really the core of our focus. And what I loved about this the response that this mama gave to her little girl, aside from really reassuring her that you don't have to worry about mommy and this beautiful conversation they had, she said, "Don't worry, mommy has," what did she call us? Feelings doctors. I was like,
Yes.
that's my new title. I'm a feelings doctor. And it was such a
Yes.
beautiful way. It was a beautiful way to calm her daughter's fears
Mm,
and to say, I have a place where I'm seen and I'm heard and I'm
mhm.
safe to feel what I feel and share what I need to share and show up in whatever condition I'm in. And it makes a difference and it's moved the needle in my divorce and my life.
Yeah.
So,
And the other piece of that is that when she shows up that way as the mother, guess what? She's giving permission for her child to do the same.
mhm.
So her child doesn't have to hide when she's afraid or when she's scared or and she has a vocabulary for it because her mother's able to share that as well.
Or when she
And
wants to
so,
share something that's maybe her mom's not going to like.
yeah,
Because that's a part of it, right?
yes,
It's finding loving, compassionate, respectful ways to communicate. And when we can do that with our children, they can do that back. And they are safe to say something. We may not like what they're saying. We may not like what we hear, but they're safe to express. And if your children are expressing good, bad, or indifferent, they're feeling safe.
yeah, yeah. And you being able to hold the space for it is something you learn. And that's
Mhm.
something we teach here, how to show up calm so that you can hold the space for other people's feelings as well. And, that impacts every relationship that you'll have, the one you have with yourself, the one you have with your children, and the one you will have for the rest of your life going forward.
Yeah,
So, yeah, good stuff.
it's wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's wonderful to see these women come back to their power, come back to themselves, really reclaim what's important to them, what lights them up, to see them get excited. They're healing. I always say it's like they're revealing and they're healing.
Yeah. And we're finding more and more, I love the power word because we're watching them week after week really step in and even had some today catch themselves and go, oh, wait, if I want to be in my power here, this is the choice I would make.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, that's just the best because
Hmm.
they get it.
Hmm.
We have a choice. We can either step into our power or we can give it away. There's no in between. And so,
And listen,
beautiful step
yeah,
forward
and
in that direction. Yeah.
it's flex. It doesn't happen overnight, especially when
No.
been doing it another way. But it
Mhm.
is really fun to witness this and to
Yeah.
witness women catching themselves. I mean, we catch ourselves all the time. That's life. But the sooner you catch yourself, the sooner you can pivot because you can prevent pain and suffering.
Yeah.
You can
Beautiful.
prevent the stress. right?
Yeah. And the great part about it is, Kristen, this group really led by you provides a space for all of it. And that's the amazing piece is they can show up and be in the depths of whatever they're feeling and we hold space for that and then to watch it transform to your point in time to have them step up and into their power knowing that they get to co-create their future now.
Mhm.
It's there's just nothing better. So
We also
beautiful
we
tone.
do a little bit of mama bear ass kicking too, because we won't let
What
you
we
stay
do when
stuck.
needed.
We will, we do it in a loving way. We will not let you stay stuck. And
That's right.
that is that
Because
it's
you
so easy
deserve
to
better
get.
than that.
Yeah.
You deserve better than that. That's the bottom line. We care too much to allow you to stay stuck where you are.
And that goes back to what you're saying though, because in our not allowing them to stay stuck, they start to develop their own tools and they catch themselves.
Mhm.
They catch themselves when they're getting back into an old familiar pattern
Yeah.
or an old familiar thought or
Yes.
future tripping. Or, like today, we were literally saying, okay, you could spend a lot of time worrying about the what ifs of the future, all the worries and but if you actually stopped and thought about how much time and energy am I giving to that? What if it all works out the way I want it to? What if I can trust myself to figure it out? Just kind of like convert some of that, all that energy you're putting over here to the negative to the potentiality of the positive. What a
Yeah.
concept.
Because the negative isn't even
Yeah,
real.
it's not
It
even
hasn't even
real.
happened
It's not
yet.
even
It's
here.
not real.
You're writing the future. So write a better one. Write a better
Right.
one.
That's right.
I mean, I think that's ultimately it. It's the most beautiful space with the most beautiful mamas showing
Mhm.
up to divorce differently with heart and with intuition and with courage and with feelings and with humanness. And we love this
And
work.
in integrity, I want to say
Yes, yes.
that's a big one because at the end of the day, you want to feel really proud of yourself when you get to the
Hmm.
other side. And so they're really showing up in full integrity of what's authentic to them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
it's really
And
beautiful.
feeling proud of yourself is not perfection. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about perfection. It's about facing hard things and just keep going with a goal in mind. And the mamas in this group and the mamas that are, attracted to the intuitive divorce, they care greatly. They care greatly how they show up. They care greatly about their children. They care greatly about the condition that everybody's in on the other side. Even those nasty little exes, those narcissists and those, those emotionally abusive exes, they care. They care about it all. And that is the beautiful thing because those intentions trickle far
Mm,
and
yeah,
affect everyone. And we're all better for it.
that's right.
So we're going to leave you here with that today. And we just want to remind you that please check us out at intuitivedivorce.com where you can learn more about what we're doing and you can learn about our program and our workshops and our upcoming membership and the book that I'm writing and the programs that Joe's creating and all the good stuff. So many resources, tips, tools, strategies, inspiration, love. You are not
Yeah.
alone. You are not alone on this journey. You don't have to be alone on this journey. And I hope that you know that it's important and that you are worthy of receiving support and nurturing and love during this difficult process and that it's not frivolous. And there's nothing about your worthiness that's frivolous. So we're going to
No,
leave you with that one, Mama.
yeah, you matter.
Yeah, you matter. So we leave you with big mama bear hugs, kisses, and support today.
Yes.